Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to our presentation. We're going to be talking about SharePoint site templates. Glad you guys are here. And we'll just get into some quick intros and ground rules, and then we'll get to our main presentation. If you have questions or comments during the presentation, you can use the Q&A section in the Teams webinar, and I'll be happy to answer those questions later. Please be patient. It may take me a while to get to each of those questions, but I promise I will be happy to answer. We are recording this session, and you will be able to watch this later today on YouTube or share it with your friends. So you'll get an email about that later, or you can just go to the Infowise Solutions channel on YouTube. My name is Will Cooper. I am a SharePoint solutions developer, and I do a lot of things with SharePoint and Microsoft 365. I have a YouTube channel called SharePoint Smart. I post training videos and how-to information about SharePoint on that channel. If you're not already a subscriber, hope you'll check that out. And also additional to that, I have a SharePoint tool that I run called SharePoint Dashboards. I am a part of the Infowise Solutions team, and we're all about making it easy for you to build solutions in SharePoint and be able to do things without having to do any custom code. And our team is about constantly improving that tool set and looking for ways to make it easy for people like you to be able to do what you want inside of SharePoint. Ultimate Forms is a full solution toolkit that you can deploy in SharePoint. It's available both for on-premise SharePoint and for SharePoint Online. And that's the main information about our product. We're going to be looking at this site template approach using our toolkit. All right, so this is kind of how I picture out-of-the-box SharePoint. It's a bit of a headache, especially when it comes to site templates. We'll talk about that in a second. And that's where Ultimate Forms comes in. We include a really excellent site template tool and all kinds of tools, in fact, custom form building, custom workflow through actions, custom email alerts, print templates, charting, you name it. It's all included as a part of this tool set. Today, we're going to be focused on site templates. All right, so before we dive into SharePoint, let's talk about what it is that we want in site templates in SharePoint. Things that are going to be important if we're going to be successful to be able to take a existing SharePoint site and set it up as a template so that we can deploy it and reuse that multiple times across our SharePoint environment. Of course, our initial site that we're setting up to be the template must be easy to work with, so that's going to be essential. And one thing we're going to focus on a lot today is we don't want to do custom code. This is time consuming, it's a headache, and it's a type of activity that's going to be limited to only those who have the most extensive SharePoint development programming experience. So there's very few people in that category. We want a simple process, UI driven, where you can simply go to a site and say, I want this site to be a template, and check some boxes and save that definition all through the UI. Likewise, we want to have a dashboard for multiple site templates. So I want to have somewhere I can go where I can choose from site templates I've created, and I can manage those, monitor their use, monitor their access, that type of thing. That's going to be essential. Additional to the site templates I'm creating, how nice would it be if I had lots of other templates available to me that I can deploy? And with Infowise, we have provided hundreds. There's all kinds of pre-configured templates. And in fact, we have pre-configured solutions. This includes custom forms and automation for all kinds of different solutions. So it may be that you have your users coming to you and they want you to set up some kind of solution, say timesheets, for example. You can go to this library of pre-configured solutions and you can use those very easily and deploy them just like your own site templates. We need this to happen very quickly and easily. That's really the whole concept of templates. It's about saving time and avoiding manual effort. So Ease of use and efficiency are key. Our site template should be able to include all the things that we typically have in a SharePoint site. So that's going to include the images that are in the site, web parts, so your quick links web part, and then other custom web parts. You want to make sure those automatically come over with your template. With these solutions, we're going to have custom forms. We want to make sure those also come along in the template when we deploy it out to a new site. And I kind of cheated here. I sort of alluded to this earlier, but no coding. We don't want to do programming. That's really nasty. It's very time consuming, even for those of us who have lots of SharePoint development experience. Okay, so that's our goals of what we want in order to be able to successfully define and deploy site templates in SharePoint. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and walk through some steps here to illustrate some concepts. All right, let's start first of all to address the problem. And the problem is what Microsoft provides is way too complicated to work with. So you can go to the Microsoft site and look this up. This is the only path with out-of-the-box Microsoft. There is documentation. It will tell you how to create site templates, and you'll immediately get into scripting. And in the very first paragraph of the very first page, it tells you that you're going to be working in PowerShell. And you're going to be using an API, which is very sophisticated. And this is something where you're going to need to be a programmer to understand what's going on. Even with that experience, it's going to be very difficult to work with. There is no alternative with out-of-the-box SharePoint. You're going to learn how to do this and wrestle with the code and all of that if you want to do it. So quite a disappointing prospect, and in fact, a complete barrier for many of us working in SharePoint. So that's why this is so important, what we're looking at today. We need a reasonable alternative path where we do not have to deal with all that custom programming and PowerShell, things like this that are done by SharePoint administrators and developers. All right, so what is the easier way? Well, of course, it's within our tools, and that's what we're going to be looking at for the rest of the presentation. Okay, so I have got this site I created with just some basic things in it. I'll go ahead and demonstrate those to you really quickly. So I've made a site that I have a support request list in, and I just did some basic things. I made a simple form here that's custom built using our tools for people to submit support requests. And then also in this site, I have a calendar. I made a custom calendar list, so you can add new calendar entries for various events. And then I have some custom web parts. So on my home page, I've got my quick links web part, which is very popular and used by most of us on our SharePoint pages. Additional to that, I've got a custom calendar. This is a Infowise special web part that's included with our tools. And these are some things that I've decided I want to make a part of my standard project site template. I want this to be a reusable site template which I can deploy. This would be very handy, right? Every time I got a new project that comes in for a customer, with this in hand and without having to do programming, by just going through a few steps, I can just click a few buttons and deploy all these handy tools predefined for my project site, as an example. Okay, so that's the concept. I've got my source site set up the way that I want. Now I want to be able to reuse this. I want to be able to copy this site out with all this great functionality. All right, so how do we go through that? Okay, so with our tools, it opens up a menu in the command bar, which I'm going to drive to now, which is in our button, which is the design button, which takes us to our main menu. And you get to the Ultimate Forms settings screen. And by the way, this is something that you can download and try out for yourself for free. I'll talk a little more about that later, but you can set up our trial. It's our entire complete software, including our site template manager, in all of our tools, and you can use all of that for 30 days and do everything that I'm demonstrating in the presentation today. All right, so on the top, we have this tool, which is Template Manager. Okay, so these are a list of other site templates that I've already created, which are specific to my login. And so I'm just going to make a new template. Just clicking a button, add new template, easy to understand that. So I'll just say webinar project template. Everything I need to do is on this one screen. Is a demonstration template for April 17. Okay, I've got some options. The permission level is about who will have access to be able to deploy the site template. So you can control who has access to the template manager as the point person in your organization if you have these tools. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with all users. I want to make it available to everyone. And I'm going to check some boxes here. And basically, I'm just telling it to go ahead and include all of the things from the site. But you have the ability to make some exceptions there if you want to. So that's it. I don't need to think about anything additional in terms of creating my site template. I've defined it, and I can just click Save. That took less than a second. Okay, so template creation is incredibly fast, incredibly simple, and easy to do. And it just shows on my manifest of templates that I have available. All right, so what are we going to do next? We're going to make a new site. So the way this goes, you want to create a brand new team site in SharePoint, and then you're going to apply the template to the site. That's the path we use to do the templates. So creating team sites is easy. I'm going to go ahead and make one now. All right, so I'm going to go new. I'm going to make a new team site in SharePoint. Okay, so I'll call it webinar project site. Okay, everybody knows this screen. We've all seen it many times. I'm going to do same permissions, do no, yes here, and create. As I go along, I want you to watch carefully and look for any step that I do that's difficult or hard or time consuming. So far, nothing has taken anything more than a second or two. Okay, there's my target site. We all know it well. Here's my boilerplate homepage. This is what you see whenever you spin up a new team site in SharePoint. So very familiar. So now this template manager is going to allow me to transform this site into what my site template is. Okay, so here I am. This is my new target site, and I simply will go back to the same area that I was in a moment before. Go into the design screen, and I will go back to Template Manager. Okay, this is where it gets hard. No, not really. It doesn't ever get hard. That's what I want you to really see as I do the presentation. You would expect it to based on the horrible coded process that you would have to use without this. So on the right column, I have a link that says apply to current site. Pretty easy to understand. Now, it's very important that you're applying the template on a blank canvas, so to speak. So it's always going to be as I did. You create a brand new site, and you're going to apply it to that brand new site. And that way, I'm not in danger of overwriting or replacing anything in that site. It gives me a little warning to basically be careful about that. So as long as you make sure you're always doing this on a brand new blank site, you're good to go. It's just going to apply settings to this site. Here we go. Here's the fun part. We can just sit back, have a drink, eat a snack. It just starts going through its script, and it's crawling through all the elements and pages and web parts and everything from the template. It's moving that over and setting that up in our new target site. We don't have to do anything. It's just reporting back to us what's happening when it's moving over and letting us know that it's making progress. So all I have to do is just sit here and wait. I think that process took about 30 seconds, maybe even less. If you're curious, you can see some granular information about the various lists and libraries and things that were moved over. But that was quite fast and quite easy. All right, so let's go out to our dashboard and let's take a look. Okay, so this is my brand new site, the webinar project site. It took me to the shared document screen because I came in from that. And here we are. We're in the site. Okay, it doesn't look quite right yet. There's one minor thing that I will do. I need to go to the pages and set the home page because in my source site, I have a page for that. So that's very easy to do. I just go to that page. I'm going to say make home page. Very fast, very simple, and we're good to go. Looks familiar, right? It looks like I'm in the site I came from, but I'm not. I'm in my brand new webinar project site. Everything has been migrated over. There's some additional considerations that I want you to see because these might otherwise be a headache. If I click on support requests, note that it's staying within the site. What you might expect is that it would go, it'd bring over hard-coded links to the old site. That Site Template Manager handles that dynamically. It says, oh, I think you actually mean to have this link go into your new site. So it automatically facilitates those adjustments in your site navigation. So that one's very important. Okay, and then on my calendar, same thing. All the configuration is dynamic to make sure it points to the new site. So if I go to my custom calendar and I make a new entry, that's going to be relevant just to this site. Okay, so I'm just going to put in some dummy information here just to demonstrate the concept. Do that and that. Pick a category. Whoop. Okay, so everything's clean, but I have all that utility. So think about how much time I've saved on my new project site. I don't have to recreate a project calendar. I don't have to recreate a special list for project requests. Any of those things that as an organization, that you always want in your project site, all of those tools, I've saved all of this manual effort where I'm having to add all of those web parts. I'm having to add all that configuration and do this tedious process of rebuilding all those things, which is eating into my time, and I keep having to do it over and over again. I just was able to deploy this just with a simple couple of clicks, and I have everything I want. So instead of my plain vanilla SharePoint out of the box, I've got all the tools that I selected. So this web part came over, the quick links web part came over. Very cool. So effectively, I now have a complete method to define my own site templates and be able to deploy them anywhere I want in SharePoint very easily, no coding, anything like that. All right, now, additional to that's your own templates, and additional to that, we have lots and lots of really awesome, cool pre-built templates. So this is a very handy tool for your own templates, but it's also very handy because we have hundreds of templates and solutions in our solution catalog. Okay, solution catalog, it's the same concept. Think of it, instead of your site that you're copying and deploying, there are hundreds of sites that we've created for special purposes and solutions at the ready. And you can browse through this and find solutions familiar to you or close to what you want. So maybe in your organization, somebody says, I want a timesheet solution, or I want a purchase order management solution, or something like that. You can go to our solution catalog and find those solutions, and you can just click in there and it's going to show you a preview, and it's the same concept. When you click to install the solution, it's going to copy in all the lists and custom forms, the landing page. All those things will automatically come into your site, and it's going to save you loads of effort and work. You have something already pre-configured and set up and ready to go. And just like the site that you've created, you can deploy these out very quickly. You can browse through here. You can do a search. You can see there's over 300 on the Infowise Solutions tab. And then the webinars, these are full solutions that have been built, we've deployed and set up for you from previous webinars. If you want to see how it works, every one of these has a video related to it, so you can see a full presentation, much like I'm doing today, which it describes exactly how it works. You've got a description that says what it does. So that's an incredibly valuable resource that's just, you know, right within reach for you to use within your organization. Very handy. Okay, let me go ahead and pause for a second, and I want to see if we have any questions or comments about what I've deployed. Any questions or comments you guys might have about doing site templates using the process that I just showed? All right, well, that's still open to questions. If you guys have any questions or want to ask me anything about how you can use this to do site templates or how it would work in your situation, just post those into the Q&A section in our webinar, and I will be sure to address those for you. And I'm going to go ahead, while I'm waiting on those questions, I'm going to move on to another topic. Oh, okay. Well, I've got one question here. It says, can you stack templates? Can you apply a template over the top of another template? If I understand the question right, like if you want to do another custom form within a site, potentially you could do that. You just need to be a little bit more precise about that. So yes, that's a possibility. If I were going to do something like that, typically that's more list based. And additional to our site templates, we have tools where you can save out a form and list as a template in itself. That probably would be the approach that I would prefer to take. But absolutely, you can combine solutions within one site. Yeah, there was a question about, can you access this to practice? Yes, and you should. That's one really cool thing about our tools. If you go to the Infowise site, on our landing page, you can install our trial, which is our entire software, for free. So just come in here, click try now for free. You do need to have SharePoint admin rights to be able to do this. So if you're not the SharePoint admin in your organization, just please, find out who that is, reach out to them so that they can do this process, and so they'd have the right permission level to install this. And then everything that I'm showing in this presentation, you can do these steps exactly for yourself. So absolutely, you can do that. Now in our site, we've got lots of resources in there that describe how to do this. So if you go under our resources, naturally we have technical documentation, which will give you more details about site templates and our package solutions. And then additional to that, we've got tutorials, we've got structured training available to you, and then there's lots of articles in our blog about different features and functions within our software. So lots of really great resources. Another thing, maybe you want to talk to somebody on our team. We're very happy to talk to you. You can just sign up for a demo. If you go to the bottom of the home page, you can just click on that book a demo button. We'll schedule a time. We'll set up a web meeting. We'll have a discussion with you, and we can get more into the details of whatever project or solution that you're looking for your SharePoint environment. All right, good questions. Keep them coming. I'll keep my eye on the Q&A. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and show you another kind of very cool templates that are available. So this is SharePoint dashboards. This is an additional tool that's available to you. It is something you can use in addition to Infowise Ultimate Forms. And this is all about making great looking dashboards in SharePoint. If you like visual data, you like indicators and progress bars charting, things of that nature, that's in this site. much like the site templates, these are templates you can apply in SharePoint doing simple copy and paste. So like Ultimate Forms, you will have to do no programming whatsoever. You can browse through lots of examples in here. There is 231 templates in this tool as of right now, and we continue to add more. And then you can try this for free, like Ultimate Forms. So the case of this site, you just sign up with your name and your email, and that'll give you access to 21 free templates. So you can start to use it, find out how it works, and understand what's possible. And then if you are interested and want to get full access, there is a paid subscription that you can sign up for, which will give you access to the complete library of templates. So lots of very cool options. If any of you guys have done anything with view or column formatting, then you probably already know a little bit about this. It's very easy to use. You just click under the template and you've got configuration options for colors, font size, things of that nature. You can pick from different theme options. This one's a very easy to understand one. It's just for a checkbox column, but they really run the gamut. You might have something like a Gantt chart that you want to do in SharePoint, and SharePoint doesn't have a way to do a Gantt chart, but this tool allows you to do that very easily. You can set up a list and display a nice looking chart just by applying this to a view in SharePoint. You do not need to install anything in order to use SharePoint dashboards. There's no software installation required. Only thing that you would do is just sign up for a login at the SharePointDashboards.com site. So I hope you'll check that out. There's lots of very cool things you can do with those templates. So that's something additional that you can do with the site templates. And in fact, you can apply this formatting onto your SharePoint list and make it a part of your site template. So you could think of this as kind of a template within a template, so to speak. So that's something that I hope you will look at as well. All right, you're a quiet crowd. I'm looking for more questions from you. All right, so that's the main presentation today. I'm going to go ahead and stay on to answer questions for you, but I am going to go ahead and stop our recording for YouTube now.